Greetings friends, and welcome to the Transformation Ability Guide. For all you fans of DBZ out there, this is for you and all your Super Saiyan characters you'd like to make. So let's get stuck in. So the first thing we're going to do is go to gameplay gear and get ourselves a blank basic puppet. And then we're just going to add a little bit of hair, just a little bit of definition to our character, so that we can tell that they are in fact the difference, we can tell the difference between when they are and are not transformed. So we can get ourselves a nice ball. We'll give them a sweet afro, I think. Then we can just move it over here. Then when we've got it pretty nicely aligned, we'll scope in with L1 and X and make it sure that it's part of their head, so scope in a few times. Alrighty. So by default our person is going to have black hair. And I think we'll give them some very easy to make eyes, nothing too fancy. We'll just make these balls and stick them in their head. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna scope in a whole bunch of times, reduce the size as is necessary. Shwang and shwang. You can align it, and then we're good. Okay, sweet. Then we're going to have a look at the default business of our puppet. So by default, their move speed, we're going to have 2 meters per second as their walk speed, their run speed, their turn speed, all these various things. Their jump height, just be aware of all these basic things because we're going to change these. Okay, sweet. So let's actually make our transformation. So what we're going to do for our transformation is, first of all, just go into logic and processing and put down a little microchip. And then inside our microchip, we're going to put down a timeline. And this timeline is going to be what is essentially, firstly, the transformation itself. So if we're doing this sort of DBZ styles, then they'll do sort of like a, they'll do like a little charge up before they transform. So first we'll just put down a blank, like a basic keyframe and not record anything. Then we'll put down another one. And they're going to start to move into their pose. The reason we put down just a blank one is just so that it goes from the whatever position our puppet is currently in. That is what they're going to move from. If you start immediately with a new keyframe, then there might be a bit of a jump, just like a bit of judderiness. This isn't. Oh, that's not quite going right. But no worries. Oh, I seem to have broken this dude's arm. Okay, cool. There we go. You've got to make it look like they're taking a dump. That's what I've learned from my years of being a DBZ fan. Maybe even lower their head a bit as they focus their ki, their spiritual energy. Okay, cool. So they sort of get into their position. They might chill there for a bit. So they sort of go like, hey. You can sort of make them shake a little bit, you know what I mean? So you can do a few keyframes here if you want, but we're just going to keep it simple. Then we're going to copy this keyframe, but make it kind of short. Do a blend there with L1 and X. And then we're going to extend their body. Whoa! And this is the moment that they will transform. So they'll throw their head back, you know what I mean? In triumph. Whoa! Their arms will sort of fly out. You can mess with this keyframe and these animations as you desire. Alrighty. So that will be the moment that they transform. And then, of course, they will return to their resting position. So we copy that original keyframe. Then we can just add a blend there and reduce it over here. So let's look at the animation. Yeah! So there they do it. You can make it a little bit shorter, and then there'll be kind of a bit more of a explosive snap to that movement, to that position. Yeah! You see? Okay, that's cool. And speaking of explosions, I think what we want to do is actually add in a little explosion. So I'm going to go into search, media molecule quick start collection, effects, and just pop down a nice explosion. You can put it anywhere. Alrighty, you can make it any size as well, just so that it's not too much in the way. Then we're going to go to gadgets, moves and outputs, emitter, and make it so that at the moment that we do our transformation, you know, when they get like, "Rah!" I'm not sure what to call that moment. The moment of transformation, that's when the explosion is going to do its business. And make it pretty big. Explosions are often a bit smaller than they appear. You can make it, you can set the time between emits to 0. Emit mode is once. Max emitted, you can set that to infinite. And emitted object lifetime, you can make that like 2 seconds. So that's how long the explosion is going to be there. Or you can make it 3 or however long you want. Okay, sweet. So this is the sort of aesthetic look of the explosion, of the ability. And that's all cool. Let's have a quick check to see if it's working. We're just going to go into our timeline and set playback mode to once. And then we're going to connect it to a button press. I think I'll make it, it can be anything really, R2. I'll just make it R2. Okay, sweet. Let's have a look see. So here I am. And I'm going to press my button. Yeah! So they've got a nice sort of explosion. It's a little bit off center, but if we want to just rearrange that, that's super easy. We can just move it over here, and then it'll be a bit more central to their position. Okay, sweet. But now we're going to get to the thing that actually is the, you know, the essence of the transformation itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to put down a keyframe here. And for the transformation, we can now change the color of their hair. So what we can do is we can go tint amount, make it 200%. Then we can go over to make this color and make it kind of just fully to the right. Then you adjust it so that you've got a nice Super Saiyan looking transformation. Give it a bit of a glow if you like. Alrighty. Then you can go to their eyes, give them that nice Super Saiyan like teal or light blue or however you would sort of define it. Make sure to make it 200%, otherwise it's not going to appear. If you want to make these eyes the same color, you just select both of them with X, and then you can make changes to one, and it'll do both of them. But you must make sure to make tint amount 200%. Okay, so let me just show you. So you go X on them both, you go to this one, you go blue. Alrighty. So just to clarify that, you'll select both of them, go into both of them and make sure that both of them have tint amount 200%. So if they're both selected with X, everything you do to one will happen to the other. And then you can change the color as you see fit. Otherwise you'd have to do one and then be like, ooh, try and guess what the other color is, you know what I mean? Which can be quite tricky. Make sure to make this keyframe keep changes. And not only do you change the aesthetics of your character, but you can also change a bunch of other things. If you have like different abilities, for example, when they're just in a normal state, they can shoot out like a blue key blast or energy blast, but when they've gone Super Saiyan or if they've transformed, they can shoot out like a golden one. What you can do is you'll add in just like a nice little ability, and then you'll disable one and enable one when it's when you're in this state. You know, you can use a selector for that. But another thing we might want to do is to just increase their move speed, their run speed. Just increase that all across the board. Increase their acceleration as well, so they are faster to get there and to slow down. You can increase their jump height, give them a double jump. Yeah, all sorts. You can make gravity affect them less, increase their air control. All these sorts of things you can mess with as you see fit, and really works in whatever way you desire. So for example, here I am in my normal state. So here's my jump. I can't quite double jump. I'm not moving all that fast. But then if I transform, now I'm moving quite a bit faster. I jump way higher. Woohoo! Swing! And I've got my sweet new Super Saiyan look. So friends, that's the simplest element. I think what I'll do now is just mess around a bit and give us a little bit of a playground to work on, so that we can tell also the difference between these. So we can tell like that you can jump higher in one and that sort of thing. So I can have like a block over here, and then just copy this. So now I'm really just messing around, friends. Copy this, increase its size, do a little bit of a maneuver here. So our default guy can jump onto this one, and then we get, and we so on and so forth. Woohoo! But then if I go Super Saiyan, or if I transform, I can go like straight to the flippin' I can go super intense. Swing. So yeah, friends, that's the gist of one form of transformation. Okay, so this form of transformation is essentially you have an ability or you have a timeline that works just like an ability, and you have a keyframe that changes everything, and you can name this keyframe to, like, you know, stat changer or something like that. So this changes your stats and your appearance, and all the various things. But there's another form of transformation which I will actually go over as well, and that is to like emit a completely different thing. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to go to gadgets, gameplay gear, blank puppet collection, and here I'm going to put down a blue puppet dude. And this guy he's just going to be very much the same. This is going to be like this guy when he's in his little mini form. Okay, cool, that looks pretty cool. I love it. Okay, sweet. Then I'll grab his eyes. Whoops. Grab his eyes as well. I will grab his eyes. That sounds rather intense out of context. So it's kind of like with this form of transformation. Okay, cool. And make sure that you make the eyes a part of the head, because otherwise the eyes will be left behind. So with all of these things, make sure that you scope into the head. And now, if I can choose between these two, alrighty, this guy looks good. Okay, sweet. I'm gonna just change the size of the hair quickly. Ooh, let's see. Okay, it's cool. I just want it to match, you know what I mean? I think that matches. That looks good. Okay, sweet. So now, the other form of transformation I'm going to show you is essentially you delete one element and then you emit a new thing, which will be immediately, this new dude will be immediately possessed. So one thing you're going to do is you're going to go into their controller logic and go into their controller sensor, important properties, and make it so that they are force possessed. Okay, sweet. And you're going to do the exact same thing to this guy. Whoopsie. You're going to go into his controller sensor, important properties, and make it so that he's force possessed. Okay, sweet. Now, what's going to happen there is, now that we've got both of these dudes force possessed, I'm going to make a new ability. So I'm just going to copy this one. And the difference here is that this one's not going to turn you into your Super Saiyan form. Rather, it's going to turn you into your mini form. And how the mini form works is, it's going to emit this dude. Make sure to set the emit speed to 0, and so on and so forth. Time between emits, 0, emit mode once, max emitted, infinite, and emitted object lifetime, infinite as well. Because you don't want to be running around as this character and then you disappear. So make sure that this is infinite. And it's going to be spawned exactly where you are. But friends, not only that, you're also going to get deleted. So you're going to delete the original guy. We'll make it at the same time and see if that works, and if not, then we'll just shift it by like a split second. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to delete the connection here, and I'm going to make the connection to this, but make sure to power this down. Otherwise you're going to be doing it by default. So let's have a look to see if it works, friends. Yeah. So here we are. We've transformed from our big version into our small version. Twing, twing. Hootie, hootie. Okay, friends, so I'm not sure if you noticed, but when we transform, you'll see that our imp very quickly jumps out of our main character and then jumps into our little dude. So if you don't want that to happen, it's a very easy fix. All you'll do is you'll go to gadgets, then you'll go to gameplay gear, global settings, stamp that down anywhere. Then you'll go into the tweak menu, settings 2, and untick or unhighlight allow imps. Now if we do our transform, yeah, we turn into a little dude and there isn't any sort of business going on there. There's no sort of imp jumping out. That could kind of break immersion depending on the kind of game you're doing, you know. But now, friends, if we want to make a similar animation for our little dude, so our little dude can turn back into our big dude, what we'll do is we'll go into our microchip, and the first thing we'll do is actually delete this emitter. So there we are. We delete it because when something is being emitted, it kind of, it's not really physical anymore, and you can't do things like add timelines to it. You can add the timelines, but you can't actually see what's happening. Like if you move along the timeline, you can't see what they're doing anymore. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird side of when you emit objects, but we'll just add it again later, so no problem there. So what we're going to do is, much like with our big dude, we're just going to add in a little timeline. Shwang. Now this timeline, we're just going to add in a little keyframe, just a default one, and stop recording. It's a little bit messy here. I'm going to close this big dude's timeline and all his microchips because we don't really need them. And now we're just going to, for our little guy, make a very much similar to what we were doing before. So he's going to do the little about to take a dump pose. Just watch these hands. Catch these hands. Catch these hands. These little blank sliding puppets are the best, especially if you want to make like little cute characters. Okay, sweet. Then we'll just extend that, similar to our dude again. Extend that, and then we'll have the transformation, and then essentially what happens here is, and then it can go back to normal. So this is if they're just doing like a classic transformation, so they go, yeah. Oh wait, my bad, I didn't actually animate this one. So this one is going to be when they actually transform. They're going to be like, whoa, their head goes back. They move their pivot point or their pelvis up. Yeah. Yeah. And this would be when they go Super Saiyan or when they transform. And of course, in the style that we're doing, we're going to make it so that it's actually emitting the original dude. But we actually have to make a copy of the original guy, because if they're both emitting each other, you're just going to get like, it's just gonna blow up the planet. So don't do that. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to go moves and outputs, put down a nice emitter. And this emitter is going to work like this, guys, with the explosion. So we can go into this guy, and we can actually just copy that emitter, because this will emit the explosion. So we can delete that one. Alrighty. So if we just want to check if this is working, we'll connect this to R2. And we can then, I'm just going to deactivate this guy quickly, because of course they're both forced possession. So I'm just going to deactivate him, and then, yeah! So that's looking pretty cool. One thing I do notice though, is that I must just make this timeline's playback mode once. Okay, cool. That's perfect. Alrighty. So now essentially what happens is, now this is working, I'm going to make it so that we can transform between the original guy and the small guy. So, what we're going to do is, just like before, we're going to add in that emitter, which is going to work, whoops, my bad, gadgets emitter. This is in moves and output. And it's going to go emit speed 0, time between emit 0, emit mode once, max emitted 0, emitted object lifetime infinite. And what is it going to be emitting? Go object to emit, and we'll select this guy. Move him to the position where you are. So it's like right where you will disappear. Okay, cool. That looks to be perfecto. Then we're actually going to make a copy of this guy, so that our dude who's being emitted is going to be able to emit another dude. So we can actually copy this one. Make sure that its emitted object lifetime is infinite there. And it's going to go object to emit. This dude over here. And of course he's going to be in this position exactly where you were. And don't forget to delete yourself. Or destroy, sorry, use the destroyer. Alrighty, so let's have a look to see if it works. So we've got our, whoops. Just remember to reactivate this guy. So step 1, we've got our original dude. Let's transform. Hurt, yeah. Now with the little dude. Now let's transform again. Hurt, yeah. Now with the big dude again. Oh, whoops. You know what I did wrong is the version that I copied was the one who had his microchip turned off. So let's try once again. Original guy. Yeah. Little dude. Transform. Yeah. Big dude again. Yeah. Little dude. So there you are, friends. That is how you get a character that can transform between multiple stages. Woohoo! You can get a guy who can transform into like a super version of himself with improved stats, or you can do a transform that turns you into a completely different puppet. That is the way that you will do it, friends. Turn into a different puppet and back. Just remember that the one that will change back is actually a clone of them, because if both of these guys are emitted objects, then you won't actually be able to possess them in the beginning. But friends, that is how you do it. There is quite a few things to do. It is a little bit tricky, but there you are, friends. You can use this to make like all sorts of different areas. If you want people, you've got a little small walkway or something, you know what I mean, and you need the little dude, then he can go under the walkway, and if you need the big dude, he can be like able to jump and so on and so forth. But yeah, friends, you can really have fun with it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with something like this. And I hope you guys enjoy and find it useful and make some awesome creations, friends. Alrighty. Let's give it one last test run. So for example, I can't go here. Woohoo, but this guy can. And he can't jump. But this guy can. So there you are, friends. That's just an example of the different things you can do. Alrighty. Thanks so much for sticking around, friends. I shall catch you on the flip-flop. Peace out.